it is working correctly or not. Okay, so that is one real-time scenario. Let's take one more example. Let's say there is an aircraft which is getting built, and we cannot directly use that aircraft, right? I mean, to travel between different places, because we never know whether it will work or not. So we have to test in directions, right? How it is going to work. So without that, we cannot directly, take it to airport, and we cannot start riding it, right? Because if something goes wrong, then that is going to be very expensive, right? Because it will affect a lot of people lives and all. So in the same way, if you take about any if you take any software applications, right? Let's say you're talking about some telecom industry. Let's say you're calling some number, and obviously that call should be received only that particular recipient, right? Whoever is holding that number. So it's not go to some other person, right? If that is going, then obviously it is not working, right? So we'll get into problems. So people will not choose that particular service provider, right? And if you're talking to the person, and let's say you spoke about 5 minutes, and ideally if the billing is supposed to be 5 rupees, let's say if they charge 50 rupees because of any problem, so that is again an issue, right? So these kind of things we have to ensure. If you take any industry like pharmaceutical or telecom or airlines, any industry, so everywhere the testing is required. So without which, they cannot directly put into the public usage. Okay, so that is definitely required. So, but what is testing? Testing is nothing but validating the requirements. You say, right, if aircraft should fly, there is a requirement. It has to fly, and it has to safely take the people from one place to another place. If that is not going to happen, then it is not meeting the requirements, right? So like that, we have to validate the requirement. But sometimes we'll be, from testing point of view, right? Sometimes some people will be saying it is about validating the developer implementations, but that is not true, because developer is also one like you only, because you are validating the requirements, and developer as well as tester will receive the requirements, and developer will implement it, and tester will validate those requirements. Okay, and if there is no, and if these two things are happening independently, right, then we can deliver a very good product in the end. Okay, so this is the actual definition of the testing: validating the requirements. That's it, in simple terms. Now, and we spoke about different industry use cases. Now let's talk about software. Let's come into our part, right? Because we are targeting for Selenium and all, right, going forward. So Selenium basically is a web application automation framework, right? So that's why going forward, wherever we refer application, that means we are referring web application. So think in that perspective. So application means a web application that we'll be referring from here onwards, because we know testing is required, and this is the area where we are going to learn the things about testing in the software side. Okay, and what is software basically? So software it's nothing but a program, so which will do some automations, right? Example, in a few years ago, so if you want to transfer money through bank from one person to other person, we have to go to that bank, and we have to take one slip, and we have to give recipient account details, and then we have to deposit with the amount. Then that money will get transferred to the other person. So we should do everything manually by going through the bank. Nowadays, what is happening? We just need to know their account details, and we will simply log in with our credentials, and we'll do the transfer, right? So this is kind of automation. It's a software, right? So how it is built using some programming language, any programming language, either Java or .NET or Python, anything. So it is a set of instructions using which they created some program, and that program is running somewhere, and it is solving our day-to-day needs. Right? That is one thing, and even mobile, we can call nowadays from anywhere to anywhere, right? So that is also that involves different components, of course, but end of the day we'll be getting bills, all those things. So that is happening through some particular software, so which is built using some technology, right? So it is nothing but a program again. So software is nothing but, so the conclusion is software is a program which will be developed using it is a set of instructions, and we call it as a program, and it will be developed using any of the programming languages. Okay, so that is mainly what is software. Okay, now in that we have different types basically. So one is system software. Okay, another one is application software. So what is system software? So we might be already using it. Example, nowadays, everyone is using mobiles, laptops, all these things, right, for their different types of works, right? So let's say if laptop has to work, because it's a kind of hardware, right, which has keyboard and monitor and inside some chips, all those things. So to make all these things work together, so there is a requirement for requirement of software. Okay, example, Windows is one kind of software, and Linux is one kind of software. So where we can install on a computer and we can start working, start using the computer. So those are called system softwares. So even if you take mobile, in mobile also will be installing. We'll be having Android mobiles or Windows mobiles, all those things, right? So those are also softwares to make required to make the mobile phones work. So those are called as system softwares. Okay, all the things related to hardware. To make the hardware, what the software we install, right? Those are all called system software, like drivers, all those stuff. Okay, and there is something called, now the second type of software is application software. What this is, what this application software. So example, yeah, let me put example here. So it's like Windows, Linux, drivers, etc. Now, what is the application software? Okay, let's say if you take your laptop, right? So we'll be having MS Office. So using which we can access all Word documents and PPTs and Excel files, all those things. So these are all application softwares. So which will be running on top of your system software. Okay, so this is one, and we'll be having some music players or running, right, on this, let's say on the laptop. So that one, apps, software which will be playing music. Okay, these things, we can say from operating system perspective. And there are other applications like whatever we just now discussed, right, about transferring amount from one account to another. So it's a banking. For banking also there will be different applications. So banking applications, right? And nowadays very frequently used apps are like e-commerce applications where people are doing the shopping online. So those things, these are all application softwares. So these are all applications. Okay. Now, now when we say again the application softwares, right? Sorry. The application softwares we can. Hi Nandu. Should we pause for any questions in this demo? Because I have been continuously talking, so I just wanted to check.
Yeah, it's not a problem. If you have that, I mean, anyone has that any questions, just you can ask to the Bala.
Oh, everyone has that access, right? Everyone is unmuted.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah. So please let me know. I mean, so far, if you have any questions, we can discuss on those.
No,
Okay.
sir, we are listening. No, sir, I'm listening.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if no response, then I'll take it as everyone is able to understand. So I'll proceed further. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation.
Okay.
Now in the application software, right? Now we are slowly getting into our applications. Okay. Now we understood what are the different application softwares. So mostly these are all whatever application that we are using on a day-to-day basis, right? These kind of applications, banking, e-commerce, or we are ordering food, right, online. So all these things are, I mean, applications, right? Now here again, in this we have again we can categorize these application softwares into two again. So one is we call it as a product. Okay, one is a product based. Another one is a project based. Example, what is a product based application? So basically, the product will be developed by considering the requirements of all the people across the world, right? The similar requirement. Let's say all the people across the world need email, right? And it should behave in the same way. Let's say if I send an email to someone else, it has to reach. Or if someone else is sending mail to someone else, it has to. I mean, the goal is they will put some message through in that email, and they will send that email, so that that message will be conveyed to the recipient. So that is the, I mean, the common requirement. So these kind of requirements, right? So if these kind of requirements are implemented only once, we know, I mean, that is applicable for everyone, right? So example, Gmail. So it is doing the same thing, which is fulfilling the end user requirements of sending message, conveying the message from one place to another place, or from one person to another person. So these kind of applications, we call it as a product-based applications. For example, you can say. And there is one more, right, which we might be using. Sometimes we'll be connecting your friend's computer, right? Nowadays, everyone is working remotely, and whenever, I mean, people are I mean, trying to fix the problem, right? They'll be using a team viewer, right, to connect to the other system. So this also, I mean, this also generic requirement, right? We don't, I mean, it is not specific to any person or any company or anything. Right? It is again a generic requirement. So these kind of things are called product-based applications. Okay, and we can even talk about QTP, so which will be used for automating the applications, right? So these also, the same software can be used for all types of applications. I mean, web applications, right? So again, we have version control softwares like SVN, right? So where we'll maintain our documents. Let's say today I created one document, and let's say tomorrow I need to make some changes to it, right? So if you want to keep the both versions, whatever I mean, the version and whatever the second version, right? So if you want to maintain these kind of versioning for the documents, we'll be using these version control softwares like SVN. Okay, all these things. So these are, I mean, this requirement is general. And if you want this example, this Gmail, we can apply for all industries. It's not again industry specific. So this kind of software also people can maintain versions, right? So we can use this software also in any of the industry, right? So example, yeah, mostly, I mean, this will be used by the developers. Let's say today I'm writing one code, okay, and I deployed it, and now tester identified some issue, okay, in my code. Then I'll fix it, okay. So whatever is the previous code and what is the version after my fix, both will be maintained in this software, okay. And at any time, if I want to switch to the previous version, I can go back and I can verify what was there and what was causing. I mean, we can. It will be useful to check how it is. I mean, getting changed. Let's say, apart from me, if someone else is also using the same file. Okay. So, example, if we take one file called, let's say, let's take one Java application. Okay, hello.java. This is one file. Let's say. So today I did some code change. Okay. Let's say Murli did one change. Okay. In this now tomorrow, let's say someone else, let's say ABC, also will modify this change, modify this file. So he also makes some changes. Okay. So what will happen is internally this will all the versions. So first, what is the change done by me, and then what is the change done by ABC. So like that, it will keep all versions. So this again, I mean, generic software, right, where people can use in any of the industries. Okay, these are all product-based applications. And now let's talk about project-based application. So these are all specific to the client. Let's say if you take airline, right? In airline, if you want to book tickets, so obviously that requirement is different, right? You have to choose what is the starting point, what is the what is the source, and what is the destination, okay, to the place that you are planning to reach. So all those are requirements will change here. For airline, it will be different. For banking, it's mostly about monetary transactions, right? Like amount transfers, or checking the balances, or checking the transactions. Okay, so all these things. So these are industry. I mean, these are different. The use cases are different between industry to industry. Requirements, different types of applications will be built. So those are called project-based applications. So example, banking applications and insurance applications, telecom, etc. So what are applications that we build for different industries that based on their requirement? Again, the requirements will change between bank to bank. Okay, let's say if some bank they want to implement something different, let's say. Okay, if you see, right, some banks they will directly they will display 10 transactions only. Some banks they will display 2 months information. So like that, again in the same banking application, different requirements that clients can ask, the banks can ask. So these kind of applications are project-based applications. Okay, so any questions at this point? Okay, so now we understood what is the project-based application and what is product-based application. Now our goal is now where these things will be tested, right? How I mean, where exactly the testing comes into picture here, right? Whether it is a product-based application or project-based application, definitely has to undergo through testing, some testing process, right? So before we understand about the testing in this different types of projects, first let's understand how I mean the product, I mean what is the complete life cycle. Let's try to understand from where the requirements will come, and how it will be built and how it will be tested. Let's talk about end-to-end thing here. So for that, let's take any project-based application. Okay, let's take some e-commerce application. Let's say Amazon.com, Amazon.in. Let's say if any one of, I mean, let's say if let's take, I mean, yeah, let's go with this application only. So now initially, if someone has some idea and they want to implement it, let's say if ABC is there is one person, let's say ABC is there. So and he has an idea like same as Amazon. He wants to sell some of his products. Okay, assume that he'll be working on some sports expert. Let's say he'll be selling all. He has a lot of connections with the different sport related manufacturing companies. Okay, like whoever is manufacturing bats, balls, or so whatever it is. Okay, let's say he's having that connections, and he wanted to sell all those products through online. Okay, so that he can reach maximum number of people. Now here ABC is the one who has to give the who is actually knowing the requirement, right? He knows what he wants. Okay, now he is the person who is supposed to give requirements for this for his application, because what is his main goal? To sell sports products over online. This is his goal. So for this, he has to give the requirements, right? How that application should looks like. Okay, look and feel of the application, and what are the different types of products you want to sell there. Okay, and he also he has to tell us how to deliver if someone is choosing, right? Let's say if I am going to that shop and this online application and I'm purchasing, right? So it has to support the delivery also, right? So delivery we should take care. And for the delivery, again, there should be some different people who will be actually doing the delivery, right? So delivery functionality. Okay, yeah, let's not get into that actual delivery, because that will be outside of the application that happens. But let's not get into that. Let's make it very simple. So these are the sample requirements, let's say. So here, who is the responsible person to give all the requirement? ABC, because he knows his business, right? He knows what he wants. So he's called a client here. Okay. ABC is the client who has to give the requirement. Okay, and we call it as a business requirements. It is just alternative name. So business requirements, because he is going to do the business. So he has to provide a business requirement. So this is the very first step. Okay. Now, so he is ready with all his business requirements. Now, he's not a technical person, right? So he has to go to someone who will be good in this development, application development, right? So obviously he will approach someone, right? Some company or some, small size, because if it is kind of startup, right? He will approach some startup company and he will ask, right? He will explain them what is his business requirements, right? So in that company, there will be a person called business analyst who will be collecting all this, who will be involving in the discussions with that client, and he will collect all these business requirements. Okay, so business analyst will collect all the requirements. Now, the business analyst then once he collect all the requirements, then he will go through all the requirements, and he does some analysis. Because analysis in the sense, the business requirement is at high level, right? He will say look and feel. My look and feel should be very good, he will say simply. Okay, so that is a very high level requirement. So that requirement he has to break down. So when I say breakdown, in the sense, say the very high big requirement, we have to break into steps, small steps. Example, we want to let's say if we take online transfer, right? We want to transfer some amount between A and B. Okay, so before transferring the amount, first we need to check whether A is having sufficient balance or not in his account. So without which he should not be allowed to do the transfer, right? And also we have to check whether account B is valid or not, whether he is having a really whatever account details that he provided is correct or not, right? So all these things will be part of that. So the business requirement will be breakdown into these kind of steps. So that will be done during the analysis. So by doing that, they will come up with different functionalities. It's called functional requirements. It does analysis and come up with functional requirements. Okay, and now if you see this business requirements, right? Let's go back to the first step. So it will be at high level. So, and again, everything should be documented here, because so otherwise we'll be getting into the trouble. Let's say after implement, again there is, people can easily forget, right, if we are not documenting it. So all the things should be documented. So business requirements will be documented in the business requirement document, business requirement specification document, BRS. Okay, so that document is the input for this business analyst, and they does the analysis and they'll come up with functional requirements. So this is called FRS. Okay, now one second. Okay, now this functional requirement document will be given to this is kind of important document for the developers as well as testers, right? So yeah, let's not get into that terminology. Now this document is the input to develop the requirements, because the high level requirement is broken into small requirements. Now these small requirements are will be helpful in developing. So developing in the sense coding, right? So generally, what will happen is, sometimes coding will start, and later on testing team will involve, right, for verification and all. So, but in some places, what will happen as soon as this FRS is ready, so FRS document will be shared with both testers as well as developers. Because they can work parallelly, right? Because it is just about the requirements, right? So while developers are developing, testers also can come up with writing test cases. Yeah. Since we didn't talk about all the test case and all, so yeah, you just don't worry about this point. So it will be next. It will go to testing, right? Once the FRS is ready, yeah. Let me remove this testing part here. So it will go for coding. Now, once this application is built, that is, once all these business requirements are addressed, then it will be given for testing. Right here, the testing will be performed on that product, and then finally it will be given to it will be launched to the public. Launch in production. So that means public can start use this. Okay. And then we also have one more phase called maintenance. So if any problem, if any problems arise in the production, so there will be different set of people who will be doing the maintenance, who will be helping with those problems and all. Okay. So this is, typical life cycle, how the requirements will come and how those will be converted into actual application. So these are all called software development life cycle. So people will be very frequently using this term SDLC. So this is a kind of process, because without process,